that kind of brings me to a question. So over this weekend, I checked out a video that was surrounded around this topic of financial literacy, and the gentleman that was being interviewed was a stock advisor. And due to the pandemic and some other decisions or some other situations that he and his family were going through, he decided to take his son out of school for a year to teach him financial literacy. All the way down from opening up a check account, savings account, up to knowing how to trade stocks. So the question to you guys, if you were in a position to be able to, withdraw your kid out of school or once they finished a grade to not send them back for the following year because you wanted to homeschool them, how would you feel about his path and his route, versus doing the traditional way? If you had the opportunity, would you do it? Would you not do it? What are your thoughts on that?
That's a that's an interesting question. Um, because that has there's so many layers to that. Um, like you're taking your kid out of the school system to teach them one aspect of life, but it's a very important one. So you know, I'm never against homeschool. I feel like if you have the propensity and the aptitude to do it, I say go for it because I think that's only going to help you and your child one develop better interpersonal skills with each other, them allowing them to communicate and learn more because it's learning from you as the parent. And then also too, it just kind of gives you, kind of can control what they learn, and they can also control their environment of how they're learning in it. Um, but I wouldn't taking a kid out of school a year for that would be a stretch. If it were more than just financial literacy, then I would say, yeah, I'd definitely do it in a heartbeat. But I think those things you can kind of teach. You can kind of teach those things in real life scenarios as teachable moments, like by going to the bank on the weekends or during the day, or um, uh, or kind of scenarios where hey you're balancing your checkbook. If people even still do that these days, you can teach them how to do that. So I feel like maybe the taking them out a year maybe a stretch, but I love the idea and the thought behind it.
I'm actually on the opposite side of this. We're in a pandemic. Some kids ain't going to school. They doing online schooling, which is a abbreviated version of teaching. Or some people don't like. Some kids don't learn that way. Like learning on a computer. They're not really getting the benefits that they should be getting. I would one ask like, how old was this kid? Like if they like preteen, like I would say around that 10 to 12, and then the 13 to 16 year old. If they're not in high school, I'm thinking, yeah, maybe I would do some like I'm gonna take you out of the school this year because you're not gonna get the education I believe that you deserve this way, and I'm gonna educate you on something that is gonna be more beneficial to your long term, and what you'll gain more from this education with me than you would getting schooled online.
Yeah, I kind of I fall on the side with you, Bruce, and then obviously the stock advisor. Um, Going through the whole grade school thing, public school, going through college, and even though college, a lot of college, you're learning more about yourself and how to network and things like that. I understand that part. Um, but a lot of what we're seeking, if I had the opportunity to take my child out of school and be able to teach them what a large population of people struggle with every day, um, hence the American debt. Uh, I feel like that's a win. Because we're not teaching them like financial literacy is. can be used in every industry. It's not that we're trying to foster you to being a doctor, or we're not trying to foster you to only be a lawyer, or to whatever it is. You need it for everything that you do. I feel like sacrificing 365 days is not. I feel like it's a no-brainer if you're in a position to do it effectively. Because with him, they have, to give you a little bit more, insight on the stock advisor. They have real estate properties. Um, they do the daily trading in the stock. So you're getting a lot of man hours and actually shadowing and seeing it. So you not only get the hands on, but you get the book, you get the hands on, you get all aspects of learning, um, which is better than the what we have right now, online school. So I don't know. I think I would. Like I said, if I was in a position to do so and I had the things set up that I can actually give real life examples, um, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Especially if your family's in a place where they can afford to do that. And this sounds like this family is. This ain't a one size fits all for sure.
Yeah.
Um, if you're not equipped to be able to teach that education like that child should be getting, you should not be taking your kid out of school to be trying to teach them financial literacy if you yourself aren't literate. Like that just kind of seems like counterintuitive.
Right. That's backwards.
Absolutely.
You're going the wrong way.
Um, but if you're one of those people like, hey, I'm gonna take my kid, and this can kind of go for anything. This year we are teaching online. They ain't teaching you. The teachers that's teaching you stressed because they also are going through the pandemic themselves. I'm going to take you out and I'm going to teach you some crafts, or I'm going to teach you like shop, or I'm going to teach you like whatever you do at your job. Like I'm going to give you an education about something that you're not going to learn and you can probably gain more from. Like if I'm an entrepreneur, I'm going to teach you about entrepreneurship. Or if I'm in a, like if I'm a person that's a technician, I'm gonna take you to the shop with me, or like et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm.
Because one, you being able to spend more time with that child, and this obviously goes if it's permitted for you to be able to do that. But one, you spending time with that child that you would never have been able to anyway,
Yeah.
because they normally would have been from set what 7 to 5 or whatever time you've been going to work. You wouldn't have been able to spend time with them. So you spending that quality time there. You're educating your child to something else that they normally wouldn't be getting the education from outside of you just talking about it at home. And it's like they've had a whole day at school, you've had a whole day at work. You might not even be in the mode or the mood to deal with that.
Yeah.
Like if I'm thinking this, me in the tech world, if I had a kid and they were at that age where it could definitely be beneficial to them, yeah, I would probably have them sit on my shoulder, like sit behind my shoulder and learn. And I'm gonna have a quiz for you every day about what you're seeing because you're giving them a head start that they normally wouldn't have not gotten anyway.
Hmm.
Well, I want to ask y'all this question, and Bruce, you kind of alluded to this. Does age play a factor into this? Because I don't really. I think if a kid is under 10, I don't think you're really going to do that, sacrificing those early years of them developing interaction with other kids and other children, where you can do that stuff at home, especially at night, especially when their workload is not as extraneous. They don't have as much homework, at going up to like 6 through 12. But I think, you know, if your kids in high school and you want them to attain a certain level of success, or they express an interest in doing something different, y'all feel like age appropriate should be one thing to consider here when doing this, taking this kid out of the school system and doing some homeschooling.
Yeah, I think age is definitely one of the keys to make it a success. You don't want them too young and trying to steal away some of the childhood, but you also don't want them too late in the game where they've made decisions without being informed about financial literacy and how it can affect those decisions and choices that they want to make. So I definitely think age is a huge factor when making a decision to take them out.
I mean, shit. Mark, what is it? Is it Michael Rubin, the owner of the Sixers? Michael Rubin.
Yeah,
He started a business at 12 years old. I remember him saying that on Breakfast Club.
yeah, yeah. He
So
started early.
you know what I mean. And granted, that's a extreme case, but I mean, he made a business at 12. Why shouldn't we be giving our kids that same opportunity, a possibility, if we got it, if we are able to do that? You know what I mean? It ain't got to be as grand. It ain't got to be 12, 2,500, but it could be like you can still start a business up with $500.